Hello, data folks. Thanks for joining me again on this channel for data and IT professionals. In our previous video, we talked about star and snowflake schemas and how dimensional modeling structures data for analytics. Today, we're going to take a closer look at fact tables. We'll discuss the different types of facts at the column level and the different types of fact tables at the overall table level, showing how they're used in real-world scenarios. All right, let's jump straight into it. As we know, a fact table is where the measurements of business events live, and these measurements are almost always numeric. Each row corresponds to one or more measurements at a specific granularity or grain. In this monthly sales fact table, one row represents the sale of a specific product to a specific customer at a specific store during a specific month. This means if a customer buys the same product multiple times from the same store within a month, all those individual transactions are aggregated and stored as a single row in this fact table. Another key point to note is that only measurements that match this grain should be included in the table. For example, you cannot include total monthly sales for stores in this fact table because the grain of that measure is just month and store, whereas the grain of this fact table is month, store, product, and customer. If you really need to track monthly sales across stores, the best practice is to create a separate fact table, such as fact monthly store sales, that matches the month plus store grain. In this new fact table, you can include other measures that fit the same grain, like total profit per store per month, total discounts per store per month, and more. This keeps each fact table consistent and makes analysis much more reliable. Alternatively, if you just need a quick summary without creating a new table, you can run a group by query on the fact monthly sales table using month ID and store ID as group by keys to calculate aggregated measures on the fly. However, keep in mind that this type of aggregation does not work for all measures. This is exactly where the different types of facts come into play, which we will discuss shortly. Inside a fact table, you'll usually find numeric measures, foreign keys for each associated dimension, and sometimes additional columns, such as timestamp columns added for auditing and tracking purposes. The process that loads fact tables often involves aggregations, and these rows can be further aggregated in subsequent processes or BI tools. The numeric measures in a fact table can behave differently depending on how you aggregate them. This is where fact types come into play. Some facts are fully additive, meaning they can be summed across any dimension. Total sales or quantity sold are classic examples, and you can slice and dice these numbers in any direction without any problem. For example, if you want the total sales for each store, or for each month, or even for each product, you can get it with a simple SQL aggregation. And that's exactly what makes sales amount a fully additive fact. On the other hand, some facts are semi-additive. These can be summed across some dimensions, but not all. For example, take inventory on hand. You can sum it across stores or products, or even both stores and products, but not across date or time dimensions. Adding this month's inventory to last month's inventory just doesn't make sense. Another example is a daily customer account balance. You can sum balances across customers, giving you the total customer balance for the financial institution on that day. But you can't sum across days, because adding today's balance to yesterday's balance is meaningless. Finally, there are non-additive facts, which cannot be summed at all, like ratios or percentages. In these cases, a good practice is to store the components that make up the ratio or percentage in the fact table and calculate the final percentage or ratio later, either in your BI tools or in the consumption layer, so that your aggregates stay accurate. So far, we've discussed the different types of facts within a fact table. This was purely at the column level. But fact tables themselves also come in different types, depending on how the business events are represented and recorded. Let's take a closer look at each type. Transaction fact tables are the most detailed, capturing every individual business event. Each row represents a single event. For example, a customer buying a product, a shipment being sent, a payment being made, or a service interaction taking place. Data is stored at the lowest level of granularity, allowing users to aggregate or drill down as needed, which provides maximum flexibility for analysis. Because they store every event, the data volume can grow very large, and queries that scan the full table may be slower than those on pre-aggregated tables. That's why it's recommended to build transaction fact tables first, and then create aggregate fact tables on top of them to make queries faster. And that brings us to the next type of fact table, aggregate fact tables. These tables store pre-computed summaries of transaction data, where each row represents aggregated values over one or more dimensions, such as total sales for a product in a month rather than individual business transactions. By summarizing the data, aggregate tables make queries faster and reduce the need to scan all transactions. Moving forward, periodic snapshot fact tables summarize activity over a fixed time interval, such as daily, weekly, or monthly totals. Each row represents a combination of a time period and business dimensions. These tables are useful for tracking balances, inventories, or other counts and totals over time. At first glance, aggregate fact tables and periodic snapshot fact tables might look similar, but they serve different purposes and are designed slightly differently. For example, aggregate fact tables are mostly created to improve the performance of queries over transaction fact tables. Periodic snapshot fact tables, on the other hand, are built to provide consistent time series reporting. From a design perspective, aggregate fact tables generally only include periods with activity, skipping periods with no data. In contrast, periodic snapshot fact tables often include rows with zero or null values for periods with no activity, so that reporting and analysis can consistently cover all time periods. Then comes accumulating snapshot fact tables, which are used to track processes that move through predictable stages with a well-defined beginning and end, such as order fulfillment or claims processing workflows. Each row represents a single process instance and is updated over time as different milestones are completed. This makes accumulating snapshot fact tables the only type where rows are updated multiple times after their initial insertion. Finally, factless fact tables. As the name implies, they don't contain numeric measures, but they capture the occurrence of events, such as a student attending a class or an employee working on a given day. They are also useful for analyzing events that didn't happen. For example, by comparing a list of all students with the factless fact table of those who actually attended, you can easily identify the students who didn't show up. I hope this gives you a solid understanding of fact tables. Remember, great insights start with solid data modeling, and fact tables are the backbone that make it all possible. That's all for today. In the next video, we'll dive into dimension tables and explore the different types of dimensions used in real-world systems. If you found this helpful, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. And as always, feel free to share this with your network. It really helps us grow and bring more valuable content your way. Thanks for watching.